January meeting of the Greenwich Representative Town Meeting. My name is Tom Byrne.
Excuse me,
and
I need you to sit down. 'Cause
As
I
all
got the
members
camera.
have received a copy of the minutes of our October 22 meeting, the reading of those minutes will be omitted. Are there any proposed changes to the minutes? Hearing none and absent objection, the minutes as submitted stand adopted upon unanimous consent. Alexis Vulgaris, our moderator pro tem and chair of the Special Committee on RTM Governance.
Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. The Governance Committee wanted to provide you with a brief update of what we've been doing over the last 10 months. So here we go. As a refresher, a Special Committee on RTM Governance was appointed by the moderator in March of 2018. The committee is comprised of 15 members, with each district represented, and as of January 2019, our committee has met 18 times, and we anticipate submitting our final report with recommendations to the moderator in June. Some of the objectives of the committee, and this is by no means a definitive list, are to review the current RTM rules and assess what needs to be updated and amended, identify ways to make the RTM more efficient and effective, especially in the areas of communication and technology, featuring a large screen to my left, which I'll be talking about in a minute, and then develop some best practices that promote uniform and consistent approaches for standing committee reports, interim elections, and the December organizational meeting. How did we do that? So we collected lots of data, lots and lots and lots of data. We established a dedicated email suggestion box. We held a public hearing in April of 2018 to solicit comments. In June of 2018, we asked all districts and standing committees to poll their members and ask them what works and what doesn't work about the RTM. And we spoke with a wide variety of internal and external stakeholders. So we met with the Greenwich League of Women Voters, the moderator, members of the PT, members of the law department, the town clerk, the selectmen, the registrar voters, and of course our technology advisory group. After we collected all that data, we spent months, and I do mean months, organizing it. Led by Bill Collins of District 11 and aided by Lisa Stewart and Kim Blank, they organized hundreds of the comments into general themes and content areas, such as communication, process, best practice. The merits and the feasibility of each group and idea were discussed at governance meetings, and we are now entering the stage where ideas that have broad support from the committee will be earmarked for inclusion on our final idea list. We're not there yet, but we're getting close to it. The signature feature, though, of our committee, and something that all of us are incredibly excited and proud of, is the creation and development of 2 best practice manuals and procedures manuals. In reviewing the hundreds of comments we received, common themes emerged. The need for better communication, internal and external, better onboarding for new members, consistent procedures for districts and committee meetings, etc. So our solution was to create 2 manuals or handbooks that focus on the highlights of best practices. I want to acknowledge Betsy Fruman, who is developing the RTM member handbook, and Andy Chapin, Bob May, and Bob McKnight, who are drafting the district and committee chair handbook. We saw this as a great opportunity to develop reference tools for both new and old members, and we wanted to recognize that many members had some very good observations, ideas, and questions that should be addressed, but not necessarily in the form of adopting a rule. I don't want to underplay how much governance has been working with so many people, both internal and external, to create greater RTM efficiency. And probably no group has been more helpful in this than the technology advisory group. One of the pieces of feedback we had been consistently receiving is, how can we make the RTM more technologically friendly? How can we have the call available on a screen so that there could be live edits in real time? So if we're doing something that has a lot of amendments, you can see it and you're not just fumbling through papers or hoping that you can jot down what people are saying. And so I'm very grateful that this evening, the TAG group, led by Bob Brady, and in particular Andrea Anthony of District 1, who has set this up. And you're going to see our call in 3 different slides. You're going to have the consent calendar, the combined calendar, and the separate calendar pop up. It's not interactive yet. This is really just an exercise to see if everybody in the auditorium can see it. And then hopefully, we're going to keep piloting it, and it will get better and better and better, and you will have it interactive, fingers crossed at some point, and we can edit in live time. So as I said, we're about 5 months away from delivering our final report, but as always, feel free to contact any member of the committee if you have any questions or concerns. And again, I'd like to thank TAG for demonstrating their fine work this evening. Thank you.
Wynn McDaniel, Chair of District 7.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator, RTM members, and their guests. Can you hear me?
Loud.
Okay, District 7 would like RTM members to join them in keeping Peg Freiberg in their thoughts and prayers as she battles a serious illness that forced her to retire from the RTM this past December. We all wish her a speedy recovery. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the call for tonight's meeting. I did notify our district and committee chairs that based upon the reports received, I will recommend the following organization of the items before us tonight. I will recommend that we put on our consent calendar items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 10, that we combine items 8 and 12 for voting purposes, and that we consider separately items 6, 7, and 11. So at this time, pursuant to our rules, I will designate the following 7 items for our consent calendar. First being item number 1. This is a resolution appointing Arthur Delmhurst to be a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals with a term expiring October 31, 2022. Item 2 is a resolution appointing Peter Yeske to be a regular member of the Alarm Appeals Board for a term expiring June 30, 2021. Item 3 is a resolution appointing Donald Conway to be a regular member of the Condemnation Commission for a term expiring March 31, 2021. Item 4 is a resolution appointing Christopher Logano to be a regular member of the Condemnation Commission for a term expiring March 31, 2021. Item 5 is a resolution appointing Aaron Leonard to be a regular member of the Condemnation Commission for a term expiring March 31, 2021. Item 9 is a resolution appointing Dave Hardman to be a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term expiring October 31, 2021. And item 10 is a resolution appointing Lauren O'Keefe to be a regular member of the Board of Health for a term expiring June 30, 2020. Is there any objection to the designation of those 7 items for our consent calendar? Hearing none, will the district chairs please mark your voting cards? Consent calendar items 1 through 5, 9, and 10, and proceed to poll your delegation. It was the consensus of the reporting bodies to combine items 8 and 12 for voting purposes. That requires a motion to suspend the rules. Is there? It has been moved and seconded to suspend the rules to combine items 8 and 12 for voting purposes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion to suspend the rules is carried. All right, that will leave, so we will take those 2 items up next, and then that would leave to consider separately items 6, 7, and 11. Item 8 now comes before us, the first of the combined items. We have someone to present that item. Peter Bernstein, Chair of our Board of Education.
So item number 8, resolved that the sum of $536,000 be and is hereby appropriated from Reserve for Capital Non-Recurring Fund to account Z680 19210 -59560 for costs associated with New Greenwich High School flood damage.
Thank you. Will member please move the adoption of the resolution? Resolution on item 8 has been moved and seconded. May we have the reports of the committees that consider this? Beginning with Kim Blank, Chair of our Education Committee.
Good evening. Your Education Committee met on Monday, January 14th. All 12 districts were represented. We met jointly with Public Works and with Finance for items 7, 8, and 12. Peter Bernstein, Chairman of the Board of Education, and Ralph Mayo, Acting Superintendent of Schools, presented these items to us. Members of the BET and members of the Board of Ed were also there and answered questions as needed. As it says in the explanos, on December 12th, a connector in the piping in the ceiling at the high school Performing Arts Center failed, causing damage to the PAC, the gym, and surrounding areas. This money would be for repairs and for costs associated with relocating activities in the PAC and the gym. Mr. Mayo and Mr. Bernstein stressed that the part that had failed was in the newly built NISA portion of the building and was in a ceiling. Its failure is not a result of maintenance issues. There are more than 16 identical parts that are now being examined and evaluated. We are working with the contractor and the parts manufacturer on these issues, and we expect to recover from insurance all funds in excess of our $25,000 deductible. They said that they are also evaluating what kinds of water sensors or additional shutoff valves would be helpful in preventing such extensive damage in the future. We approved this item 1200. As part of our discussion, we encourage the Board of Ed to look into investing in sensors, shutoff valves, or other preventative measures to avoid future problems.
Thank you. Rob Pirelli-Minetti, Chair of our Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met jointly with Education and Public Works on this item, as Kim mentioned. Her report is pretty complete. I think the only thing she didn't really mention was the sense of frustration we all have at the fact that this brand-new, very expensive building is suffering from these kinds of failures. We would also point out that there was a problem with this, with one of these sensors couplings a couple of years ago. And also that there are apparently leaks in the roof and the skylight that are being worked on that are not part of this repair. So there's a sense of frustration with this. But our committee, along with theirs, approved this item 1200. We strongly urge you to support this.
Thank you. Michael Spilo, Vice Chair of our Public Works Committee.
Good evening. I won't belabor this much, but Public Works had extensive discussion on the procedures and methods that are being used to identify problems in the facilities early, and we feel this area needs further examination. As was mentioned, water sensors and shutoff valves, but also training for the facility staff, because apparently the custodial staff has no training with regards to identifying problems before they become catastrophes. As well, a review of emergency procedures and training for dealing with non-fire emergencies like floods, and we shouldn't have to be calling the fire department necessarily once a room is flooded or searching on the street for the shutoff valves. One additional item that was mentioned is that we should be maintaining a list of major equipment along with obsolescence, maintenance, and inspection timelines so that we know what to expect as opposed to having these necessarily last-minute problems. That said, obviously these items need to be taken care of. We voted 10-0-0 with districts 2 and 10 absent.
Thank you. Discussion on item 8. Item 12 now comes before us. Once again, Peter Bernstein, Chair of our Board of Education.
Item number 12, resolved that the sum of $217,000 being the same as hereby appropriated from reserve for capital non-recurring fund to account Z6801689-59560, project 19209, for costs associated with remediation of Greenwich High School flood damage.
Thank you. Will the member please move the adoption of the resolution? Resolution on item 12 has been moved and seconded. Kimberly Blank, Chair of our Education Committee.
Okay, more water damage, this time a flood in a basement at the Greenwich High School Science Wing. On November 15th, the plate heat exchanger, which is a part of the hot water system in the Science Wing basement, failed. Water to the street had to be shut off and 7 feet of water pumped out of the room before the cause could be found. Mr. Mayo explained that this plate exchanger was installed 2 years ago after problems occurred with the hot water heater in the same space. They've been in discussions with the contractor who installed the new system and believe that they may wind up in litigation over this situation. As with item 8, this damage was caused by the failure of a relatively new piece of equipment. The Board of Ed does not believe that it is an issue of poor maintenance. We expect to recover from insurance all funds in excess of our $25,000 deductible. Again, we discussed what preventative measures could be helpful for the future. Mr. Mayo mentioned that in addition to sensors and shutoff valves, they are considering which systems or equipment should be covered by service contracts. Since we employ our own maintenance staff, we don't typically hold service contracts, but these may be appropriate for certain specialized equipment. We approved this item 1200. In our discussion, we again encouraged the Board of Ed to further explore preventative measures.
Thank you. Mr. Pirelli-Minetti with the Finance Committee report.
The Finance Committee again met in joint session with the other two committees. We approved the item 1200. There's not a lot to add, except that this is probably the best example I've seen in a while of no good deed goes unpunished. Because the reason that we had a heat exchanger there is that 2 years ago, the hot water heater failed. And they decided after a lot of research that we would replace it with a heat exchanger, which is another way of heating hot water. So we have the new part that, this new item that they're, they thought was an upgrade, reasonably thought was an upgrade. Turns out it doesn't work either. The manufacturer apparently is not cooperating, and we think this is likely to end up in litigation. But we, again, 1200, please support the item.
Thank you. Mr. Spilo with the Public Works Committee report.
I have nothing to add. We voted 10-0-0 on this as well. We voted on them combined.
Thank you. Discussion on item 12. Will the district chairs please mark your voting cards, combine items 8 and 12, and proceed to vote with poll your delegation. I have the result of the vote on the consent calendar items. Those were the appointments, items number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 10. Those in favor, 195. Opposed, 0. Abstaining, 1. Those consent items have carried. That brings us to the first of our separate items, item number 6. That comes before us. May we have the resolution on that? John Eddy, Chair of our Appointments Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Moderator, I have a slight amendment to this resolution. I'll just include that in my reading of it.
Well, just submit a substitute resolution.
Substitute resolution is, will resolve that the following named person nominated by the Appointments Committee be appointed as an alternate member of the Labor Contracts Committee, parentheses A2, that's the designation, for the term expiring December 31st, 2019. So the substitute resolution would simply add in parentheses A2 between committee and board.
Thank you. Will the member please move the adoption of the substitute resolution? Substitute resolution has been moved and seconded. May we have the reports of the committees that considered this? Mr. Pirelli-Minetti, you want to go first, Mr. Eddy? Sure. John Eddy with the Appointments Committee report.
The Appointments Committee met on December 4th to nominate an alternate member to the Labor Contracts Committee. I've been requested by members of the Appointments Committee and some other folks to, before I go through this, explain the nomination process and how that's different from the regular recommendation process that committees normally go through with an appointment. So bear with me for a couple of seconds so that everyone has a complete understanding what the difference between a nomination is and a recommendation is when something is referred to the Appointments Committee. Typically, with an appointment to an agency in town, the Board of Selectmen nominate items referred they submit a resolution to the call of the RTM, and items are referred to standing committees. These committees investigate, report, and take a non-binding vote of recommendation to the RTM about whether or not that appointment should take place. With special committees, as in this case, the RTM rules delegate the responsibility for nominating candidates to the appointments committee, then the RTM votes whether or not to appoint the person who's been nominated. Informationally, the rules also provide for the RTM rules also provide for nominations to be made by petition or from the floor of the RTM with certain restrictions. With the responsibility for nominating also comes the responsibility for finding eligible and suitable candidates. Eligibility for the Labor Contracts Committee is membership in the RTM as determined by the RTM rules. Determining suitability is the goal of the nominating process. Your Appointments Committee is not simply making a recommendation to the RTM, it is using its judgment to narrow down the field to find, to the present. I'm sorry, I thought he was saying hold on to me. The Appointments Committee is not making a recommendation, it's using its judgment to narrow down the field to present the best available candidates to the
Mr.
RTM.
Eddy, I have to interrupt you, I'm sorry. The gas smell that many of us experienced on the way in was not apparently taken care of. They thought it was a pilot light, they relit it, but further investigation has indicated there's still a gas leak. The fire department has ordered that we evacuate.
I second that.
All right, now, I have no idea whether this can be fixed, so I think we're going to recess. Let's get a motion that we all agree. Do we have any idea if this is available tomorrow night?
As we blow up.
Are we coming back?
Shall we just come back tomorrow night? All right. Mr. Cornelius has moved that we recess until tomorrow evening. Is there a second? Opposed? Defeat this motion or amend it somehow. I'm told there is another meeting for some of us tomorrow night. Not me, but for some people. So, the current motion is to come back tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'm assuming this will be available.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
move to amend the motion to Thursday night.
No.
All right, listen, the motion is in order. If it's seconded, we'll vote on it. Is there a second for that? All right. So we are now just voting on whether to change Mr. Cornelius's motion from Wednesday to Thursday. Yes.
I thought we don't do amendments.
All right? We're not going to amend an amendment, so we're going to dispose of Mr. Spilo's motion to amend, to come back. Geez, I hope we don't blow up what we're doing.
I withdraw the motion in favor of next Monday.
What?
I withdraw the motion in favor of next Monday.
All right. So we now have a motion to come back next Monday. It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion is carried. Sorry for the inconvenience.